In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Such a phenomenal, empowering, strengthening verse that sets the tone not just for the book of Genesis but the entire Bible. So, with this, we understand the omnipotence of our Lord. When this particular statement was written, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. And as you go through how God created each and everything that is existing now, every living creature, every plant. Now, in the 26th verse, it says, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness." Now, that sets another tone for who we are. As human beings, we have this image of God. So, the purpose and the meaning of life, everything will originate from this particular verse when God created man in his own image to be fruitful and to multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the entire creation. And as we move, God resting, another important feature that we see. And here comes in the third chapter, as we see the fall. In the sixth verse, Eve saw and she was attracted to that beautiful fruit, and both of them sinned against God by eating the forbidden fruit. But just 15th verse, not very far from that, the seed of that woman, again, God bringing that redemptive plan soon after fall is so marvelous to notice. Just read that third chapter, and then as we move on, we'll see Cain and Abel, and Abel was killed by Cain in his place. Seth was given, and we see the descendants of Adam in chapter 5. And here in the fifth chapter, Methuselah, he lived 969 years. And the very meaning uh, of Methuselah, when he dies, there will be judgment. In fact, the year he died, just after his death, flood came, and we see that in the book of Genesis 6 onwards, the flood and how God redeemed Noah and his family members, three sons and their wives, and that beautiful rainbow at the end of flood. We see that, and here comes the Noah descendants. Noah, one of his sons is Ham and Cush, and his son is Nimrod. So Noah, his son is Ham, his son is Cush, and Cush, one son is Nimrod. Nimrod is the one who attempted to build the Babel Tower, and that's where all the languages, scattering of people, all that happened, Tower of Babel. Okay, we move on. Here comes our uh, Abraham. So Abraham, Terah descends, generation of Terah. You see from Ur to Haran, how Abraham's family was called. And then you see Abraham and Sarah in Egypt. They moved there, and Abraham's nephew Lot, they separated this place called Negev when they had a kind of fight between the scuffle between the servants. He gives the opportunity for his nephew to choose what he likes. Then Lot chooses Jordan Valley, whereas Abram settled in the land of Canaan. And as we see later on, Lot enters a lot of problems. That is a sinful area, Sodom and Gomorrah. We know that, and in fact, Abram had to go and rescue Lot from his enemies, and Abram winning the war against few kings. And as he was coming back, Abram was blessed by the high priest, one very mysterious but phenomenal character in the Bible, Melchizedek. He blessing Abraham, blessed be Abram by God Most High. And you see God promising Abram, um, from 15th chapter onwards, and then Sarah not seeing the upcoming, blessing through Isaac, asking for Hagar, and then all that happens after that. Hagar and Hagar's story, and later on Isaac's birth, how it was promised again. Um and we see that Abraham was blessed by the promised child at age of 100 years. That's fantastic thing to be noticed here. And also Abraham, uh, he intercedes for Sodom because his nephew Lot is there. Now he would like to uh, intercede, at least as the phenomenal bargaining that happens by Abraham from 50 to just to 5, but hardly 5 people were there. So God destroys these two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, and God rescues Lot out of it. And we see uh, Lot and his daughters, uh, and that's how the incest happens. Moabites and the Ammonites come later on. We see from 20th chapter onwards, Abraham and Abimelech. Here is king, a territory in the Negev, and Abraham, he says his wife is his sister, but of course she is technically sister, but God tells leave Abraham. So that's how God uh, forgives Abimelech, because God's blessing upon Abraham was there. And the birth of Isaac happens, God protecting Hagar and Ishmael, because all the fight that was happening between two wives of Abraham. Even the rejected boy and his mother, when they were in wilderness, God hearing the voice of the boy, and the angel of God came to Hagar from heaven and gave the water, providing the water. We'll move on. And now the phenomenal passage in the book of Genesis comes, the sacrifice of Isaac, where Abraham's faith was tested. The Lord Jehovah Jireh, the promise he held on to, and his faith was honored. And Abraham stands as the father of Abraham. Now also we sing the song, Father Abraham had so many sons. Okay, we are one of them. And next comes the Sarah's death and burial, and then we see Abraham's son Isaac, and how matchmaking happens between Isaac and Rebecca. So that we see, that's also Rebecca's character was so beautiful that she had to take a lot of efforts to give water to the camels, not just Eliezer team. And then we see Abraham, so death, and the narration of his descents. And we also see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So when you know Isaac, Isaac's wife Rebecca gave birth, uh, this two people coming out, Esau and Jacob. There comes the scuffle. All the very phenomenal verse. Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples will come from your soul. And then God's promise to Isaac, it carries on, and Isaac blessing Jacob. And Jacob was sent to Laban because he was afraid he stole the blessings. Jacob marries Leah and Rachel, and as they were coming back, we do see Jacob fleeing from Laban, and then Jacob fears Esau as they were coming, but there was a good uh, reconciliation happens. But now here comes in the book of in the 32nd chapter, where Jacob wrestling with God, and there he got this title Israel. And now we see the defiling of Dinah, one of the sisters of Jacob's sons. Section of Genesis, that is um, Joseph's dreams, is so phenomenal that God has given this wonderful character in the book of he resisted to sin against God in the context of Potiphar's wife, and he tells when he was a prime minister in the land of Egypt, when his brothers came in a very vulnerable condition, Joseph forgiving his brothers and embracing them back, it was a phenomenal thing. And Joseph dies. That's how 50th chapter of Genesis ends.